Hello there and welcome back. Today we talk about Maschine and we will address some questions that few of my subscribers or followers asked me. So what you are listening now, it's one of the first track that I completely made in Maschine, arranged the air, and then I mixed it in Ableton. I'm still working on it, but it's the first track that I just completed. So I have this machine since 3 weeks, more or less. I got a little obsessed about it in the last 2. I really like the workflow. I think it's one of the most fun and productive workflow that I ever found in any other instrument. Of course, this guy offers you so many things. Native Instrument give it to me without any asking. They also give me the full complete 14 package, so I have hundreds of gigabytes of sample and expansion, and I might probably use 2% of that. But nonetheless, there's a lot of cool stuff that actually pushed me a little out of my comfort zone and what is my workflow. And I have to say that for certain purposes, it's pretty great to have a tool like this one. Other than that, we will go through. I want today to talk about the internal instrument and maybe build something using the internal Maschine instrument that to me are pretty great, pretty fun to use and straight to the point. That said, before going on, as usual, the way you can support my page, you can buy from the affiliate link down below. There's a section for European and a section for American. There you can subscribe to this channel and share this content. That's a super easy way and cheap for you, actually free, to really give me help. And then you can become a Patreon. On Patreon, I do more in-depth demo review, and I also offer one-on-one session and coaching if you are interested into that. All right, let's get back to what we have here. So first I want to address a couple of questions or thoughts that came out when some of my friends see that I got the Maschine. One of my friends said to me, hey, you are becoming what you swear never to become. So sort of guy, musician, whatever you want to call, that play with a sort of out-of-the-box, in-the-box machine. That made me think. It's like, okay, so far I always been known or I always played with hardware, and this fundamentally is hardware, but make a lot of pride in creating my sound. So this machine has a lot of synth you can use, and you can also use some synth that are the Native Instrument family, like Massive, like Monarch, like FM8. So you can save on the computer your preset and bring in here, or you can program them here. Pretty more complex, I have to say. But at the same time, this is a tool that heavily rely on a plethora of sample expansion. And for certain kind of music, those are like the bread and butter. For what I do, maybe not. But also I start thinking that what is really define, what is the key that define an artist? Probably it's the kind of sound, the kind of style that he has. And does it really matter if it comes from sampled? Does it come from hardware? If it comes from a computer? Actually, no. It shouldn't really matter. It matters probably only for a little community of people like us, sort of nerd that enjoy hardware and enjoy how things are made and enjoy to know how instruments work. So in the end, the music should talk. So your production should talk. So I feel like that I'm very lucky that I can have something like this. I can have the Octatrack. I just got the SP404 from Roland. So there's many tools, and each tools definitely leads you into a different territory. So that's great for experimentation, for exploration, for creativity. So I have to say that using sample is something that is growing on me, and I have to make it mine. Another subscriber told me maybe this machine or this instrument is too generic sounding for somebody like you. And even in that case, I thought, like, what does it really mean? It makes sense because the risk when you use something sample based that offers you something that is already pre-made and sounds incredibly good, the risk is that then you don't add anything on top, and that is mostly something that I've been scared my entire life. I want to produce something that it's mine. Before, when I was a photographer, that was my, I wanted to do images that only I can do. Not because they're better or worse, but because that's me. And the same with music. I want to create something that really is made by me and it reflects my mood, my opinions, my style. I have to say that lately I find out that using effects, mangling the sound is where you can start from something generic and making it yours. And that's something we will try to do today. So there's kind of false problem, and we grow up with a lot of these ideas and problem, like if you use that tool, you're cool. If you do that other or not, or maybe if you use Maschine, you have to do certain kind of music. Like I'd say a lot of people think this is aimed more to hip hop producer, and then OP1 is more for lo-fi hip hop, and electron stuff is more towards techno. It actually doesn't really matter. Each one, the fun thing is, like, the great artists that I like, whatever they touch, those instruments sound like them. So I'm pretty sure this is what will happen to me too. All right, that was a big intro. Let's just go and create something and have fun. So let's start. There's a lot of tutorial. I won't go in how things work. I'm just going and just do some music with it. So we go in project, file, we go new project. So I want to create sound just with the internal sound. You have a lot, so whenever you have this 8 group, on each group, discard, each group has 16 pad, and the pad that could be a container for an instrument. So you can have a lot of stuff going on. So let's select the first group and let's make it a drum group. We're gonna do something simple, dubby, techno-ish, whatever it comes. So you can either with browser browse all the sound that you have, download tons and tons of it, but no, you can just go in the plugin page of the instance and on sound, and then press and you start selecting the sound. So right now on group 1, pad 1, I want to start putting a kick there. So I will load the kick. So here it is. There's many different, let's call it algorithm or engine where you can start, and I will use the sub. On the sub you have very simple setting that you can do. You move through page of setting with the arrow here. Tune, decay, bend, the time of the bend, and then an attack. Thin, thick noise. Let's use something like that. And this is basically very simple. But then with the plus here, if you say, you can start adding other effects and create for each pad a big chain. But first, let's just place instrument and then we will create the sound. So we have our kick here. Let's remove, I don't want the noise. Let's add on pad 2 another sound. So let's have a snare, because why not? Yeah, I will again first populate the scene. Let's add here the hi-hat, silver circuit. I guess silver, it's based on the Roland stuff, so we will keep this one. Let's have one long and one closed. You can choke them. I actually didn't learn yet how, so for now we will have it like this. And then, do you want something else? Percussion. Yeah, let's hear percussion. Oh, a shaker is nice. Okay, this could be our first part, like our first drum. We don't have to populate everything. So in B, I want to have the bass. So we'll use the internal bass synth that is loosely based on a 303 kind of vibe. Okay, and in C, we can use, in group C, the polysynth. All right. So let's also choose the scale. I want to use, as usual, let's stay in C minor. You have different way to use these. You can select the scale. Different main is like a collection of more used scale. Then the chord could be the first, the third, and the fifth, or you can add the fourth, the seventh, and also there's chord set that are a collection of chords that will work nice together. So for now, let's just keep it like this. So let's do something fun. Let's first put down some kick. So you select the kick or you just play it, then you go in step. I like to use the step sequencer rather than play on, because that's how I am. So let's just play something. So right now I set the step by hand and then I play on top the hat, pressing rec. Now I do some test. So whenever you are, you can see the pattern, and it's very easy to see what's happening. You can double it, you can duplicate. For example, now this is when you are in the pattern window, you see how many patterns. You can have a lot of bank of patterns, so can have a lot of stuff. So you can duplicate it and have variation for each one. For example, this second one, we can double it and we can add record some there it is. Okay, not the best, but whatever. What I always like to do is on the master put a limiter right away. So boom, limiter. And then I like to start play in the group. So now I'm in the group, I can put effects here. I could put a lot of stuff, but for now let's wait. Let's start doing step by step, and you'll see how now everything that sounds kind of basic, then later on it's gonna be cooler. So we have the bass here. One thing that I like to do is select a pattern, go into keyboard mode. Actually the pattern, let's put it to bar, and then we go in variation, random, and apply. This will create a random pattern. I like to do that until I find something that I like. This is cool. And then once you do, you can actually instead change the value. Let's make this sound more interesting. And first, let's play with it. You have a glide. Let's add a delay. Let's now add some chords. Let's first create something dubby cool. I'm working with the filter. Okay. Let's make it more interesting with some effects. Let's add a beat delay that I really enjoy. A lot of stereo opening, some color, and an offset. I want to go back. And then there's this reverb that I really like, called Raum. Let's record something. No, I don't like the last one. This could work. Now let's play some cool thing. Let's start sidechain stuff. We can put it on the group or here. Let's put it on the group. No. Remove. So let's use the compressor. And then in input, we got the kick. And here it is. And now we get sidechained. If we push the threshold here, Now let's make the sound of this guy more interesting. So let's work solo on the kick. So I like to put the decay very long, so I can sort of tune it. Now, one cool thing would be to sample this guy and then use the sampler. That could be fun. Let's add some rumble. Let's add some reverb. And then I like to add some filter. I want to remove this. You can put the steps and then do similar to the electron workflow, where each you hold it and change the value of it. For example, this one, you want less volume, pattern. You select the velocity here, and so you can create something. Let's work again. Let's on the master add a saturator, tape, and let's work on the other sound. So as you hear, things are going somewhere. Nice. Let's add some room reverb. And let's mix it a little down. Now let's work on the percussion, on the shaker. Again, what we can do, let's do something lo-fi. Nice. Let's filter it. Let's use bandpass. Let's use a LFO, very slow, to modify it. And now it's time to add a tiny bit of delay. Nice. And let's add a compressor. So these things got with the kick, sidechain. Nice. Now let's work on this guy. We want a delay, of course. Let's compresso. Nice. Reverb. We can use different reverb because there's many. Let's use, I don't know. First I want to lo-fi even here. If you want to move the order, you press shift and then move. So now the lo-fi got in front of the compressor. Oh, this sounds cool. Let's add the reverb. So, in very little time we already have something that to me sounds interesting, and we just use the internal effects and instrument. So we are at 30% of CPU. You can go on. If you use only the internal stuff, you can do a lot of stuff before you maxed out. All the track I did so far, I never reach above 70%. Of course, the problem starts when you use instance of, for example, Massive, for example, Monarch. Those are really CPU intensive, but what you can do is always sample the stuff and then use it with a sample, and then you can go on and on and on. So let's go back to our bass and see if it works nice. Maybe we want a different variation. Let's see. This is interesting. You can decide the different velocity and the range. So another interesting that we can do, let's remove this delay. I'll show you something. And let's just solo this guy. Let's remove the glide for now. All right. As you can hear, it sounds really like a trio. And you go like very subby, and I kind of like. So there's two ways to add effects. You can add and stake effects in the pad that you're using, or you can use any other pad in any other group and then send your sound there. So use pad as send effects. And that could be useful when you use stuff like Raum that has a lot of CPU intensive. So let's set up a few send and return. I like to do it in a separate track, a separate group. So let's use group D for that. So, and I like it, put it on top here. So let's put on here, plugin, we will put a Raum, effect, Raum. We put already mix 100% because it will gonna be our send effect. And then here we put a internal instrument, and we use, so I think I kind of cheat because the effects Raum is part of the native instrument, but I mean, it's just a reverb, but here you have a lot of reverb. It's just that because that one sounds amazing. And let's put the beat delay. Beat delay is really fun to use and I like it. So boom, here it is. So now I mix 100%. Now how I route any sound from any other group to this. So let's start with this guy. So you go in the channel section here, and then in the output, you have aux 1 and aux 2. So you can send this sound to 2 auxes. I wish there were more, honestly. I wish there were more. That would have been making amazing. So now on destination, you select where you put. So we know that was in D. So it was section D and the pad 15 for the delay. So we put that there and this one on the Raum. So now with level, it's like my send. Here it is. So this is cool because now I'll show you what we can do. Now you can go here and you can actually work on these effects and have it EQ'd or whatever, that if you have in serial with your sound, you cannot do. So for example, I want both of this group, all of the things in this group, I want them somehow filtered. So I can use a filter and could be a high pass. And I can add some source, some LFO. Pretty cool. And now let's hear with everything. So, let's check. Let's check on limiter, maybe this. Happening because I'm pushed here for sure, group compressor here probably. Yeah, that was too much. Now I can push the limiter again. Much of. So I kinda already like it. Of course, this is repetitive, and we need to work on this succession here. But I won't do right now. I just wanted to show you the super fast and fun process. So right now, I show you the last step. So say this is the foundation, and now we just recorded one pattern for each. So let's say you want to have a variation of the bass. So what you can do, you go in a pattern page, you can duplicate it. So now you have two, and the first one, maybe the length is gonna be like this, and we remove some and we use just this, and then pattern 2 is gonna be these, and then we can add a duplicate, and the third pattern, it could be more bass heavy. I mean, random, but whatever. On the let's now focus on the pad. So let's double this guy, duplicate this. So let's remove the second on the first one. Step. and we have only this. All right, and then let's go on the pattern for the drum. So we have this one, and let's erase something. How do you erase? You click erase and you push the button you want to erase. So for the first, actually, let's do, this is gonna be the first pattern, right? The second pattern is gonna be this, whatever, and then this. Without, let's erase the, let's keep it like that. So we have now some variation. Also, we can decide to send some of this sound to those effects we set up. Let's hear what happens if we send the kick to create more rumble. So we select the kick, we go in the channel, in aux, and we select, oh, no. All right, sorry. Page, sound, destination, and we send to the beat delay, and to the Raum. Let's hear now. And it creates this kind of eerie sound. We can keep it. What you do now, so, and here is where things change for this tool rather than, I don't know, Electron or other machine that I have. So performing, it can be done. It has some effects that are dedicated to performing. I'm not there yet. What you can do is just like you can select a section of song and turn in and out. So it's great for DJing. And I started mapping, where did I put it? Okay, it's not here. But I started mapping my Chic N32 to this one. You can do it, so you can map an external control. You need to use the computer though. And you can map to the sound effect, to any things of this machine. So that would be pretty great because then you can perform. It's hard if you don't have, you can select macro for each group. You could have macro, and macro basically is a map to this knob. The problem to me is that macro works on the group, but not, I wish there was a macro for the master. Might be, and I don't know. I'll have to see. But in that case would be better because then you can have, for example, filters or send and use these. So you can definitely set the machine to perform. But what I like to do is so far creating section of track, and then very easily export and finish the track on the computer. So how you do that is a pretty simple and neat system. So you go in the ideas and you create scene. So for example, now this is scene 1. And you can decide that scene 1 is playing pattern 1, nothing on group B, and the pattern 1 of group C. Then you want to add another scene, boom. Scene 2 is gonna be, for example, still this, the bass come in, and there's the dub chord. Then scene 3 is gonna be, we go here, and we go here without making it too complicated, and scene 4 is like this. All right, when you do that, then with shift, you go in song. And in song, you create section with your pad. So first section, let's start from scratch. No, not step, sorry. What am I doing? So see, these are still learning. So a section, song, yes, song, yeah. Okay, here it is. So position 1, and you put scene 1, and here it is. And you said how much long you want, let's say 4 bars. Then you do section 2, and you can put scene 2. And then you do section 3, and I didn't decide on section 2 how long it is. You can do 4, or you can do 2 for each. Let's do that. 2 for each. Then section 3, we put scene 3. And then section 4, we put section 4. So this is fun because, oh, now I don't know what is this part that I created the clip. The clip is this thing I didn't learn how to use. Delete, here it is. And now we have all the section of this track, 1, 2, 3, and 4 here. If I play from start, it will change every. So there's 2 ways you can play with this. So you can set the loop. So if you have the loop, means that it will stay in that section that you press here. And then you can change as you wish. And you can go, for example, from this section to this. And if you press in the middle of the loop, it goes on the same equivalent spot of that. So it's pretty cool to perform. And so on. When you have done this, so basically you do your arrangement, and the fun part is that you can also go into the automation and with auto and create automation and stuff. But if you want to do that on the computer using either your DAW or the Maschine software, you can go here in File, Export Audio, and here you decide what you can export. You can export the master, so it would be like the full track. You can, the group, so basically stems. So I will have 1, 2, 3, and probably 4 for the effects. And then you can do sound. With sound, you will have all the separate track, including the effect one. And you can decide the range of what you did or just the loop. If you do all right now, you decide the sample rate, the type, the bit depth, and then you press export. It will export everything following your, let's not do it now, of course, following what you did here. So if you have a 2-minute long section, it will export that. In this case, what I do, I like to prepare the different section with different loop that in my mind works well together. Then in the computer, I will have everything separated and everything will sound as I'm listening here. Of course, you will lose the effects that are in the master. So if you have stuff on the master, you need to think about that. Also in the group, so you need to realize how you're gonna use this track, how you're gonna use the sound, if you're gonna export separately, if you want to just have stem and heavily work on the effects on the machine. So yeah, I did already few things that I'm really happy about, and it sounds pretty great. And then what can you add later? Yeah, you do your backbone here, and later on you can work with more processing. I still prefer having, if I have to do post-production, have a computer. It makes me more comfortable being in that environment rather than here. But let's not forget that in this case, the Maschine Plus, these can work without a computer, so I can go anywhere with this and create. Then it can control external instrument. I already did, you can see on my Instagram, I use it with the Performer. You can sample and do auto sample, so sample, multi-sample your instrument and synth, and that's pretty amazing. And a video will come about that. So, to conclude, yes, I'm having a lot of fun. It's sometimes, honestly, it feels like cheating because it's so much easier than other instrument that I have. It's a machine that is less prone to happy accidents. So for example, when I use the Octatrack, you always get something weird. So it really depends what you are looking for. If you are in the mood for creating something, you have an idea and you want to work on idea, precise idea, this is a great tool. If you want to be inspired by epic accident and do something without controlling too much, then I feel I will go more towards the electron stuff. And so on. So the great thing is like we live in a time that, okay, this is not cheap, but there's a lot of other stuff that you can use, including DAW, that allows you to create what you want. So it's amazing, and I'm blessed by the fact that I can decide today I'm gonna do this kind of track and I need this kind of tool. So it's like having brushes, you know. This is a very broad brush because it's a collection of it. You can do a lot of stuff. Anyway, I hope this was interesting, and as usual, please subscribe, please share this content. It's really, really make a difference for me. And I'll see you next week. Thank you, and ciao, ciao.